Prince Obina had been away for 10 long years, studying and managing his father's businesses abroad. The news of his return spread quickly through the village. The king had summoned him home, not only for royal duties but for one reason that would change everything. It was time for him to choose a bride. Please help us subscribe if you have not done so. Women from noble families prepared themselves meticulously. Tailors worked late into the night, jewelers displayed their finest creations, and mothers whispered urgently to their daughters, "This is your chance, don't lose it." On the day of his arrival, the palace gates opened, and a sleek black convoy rode in. Obina stepped out, wearing a simple white kaftan and a gentle smile that made hearts skip. Women along the road waved and murmured, hoping for his glance and wanted to talk to him. But Obina's eyes wandered past the crowd he knew, even sent them, beyond the polished carriages, to the market. There, a young woman struggled to gather a basket of fallen tomatoes. Her dress was faded, her hair tied back, dust clinging to her bare feet. People passed, some laughed, some whispered, and some shook their heads. She bent down again and again, trying to collect what had spilled, her small hands trembling under the weight. Obina stepped down from his car. "Let me help," he said, bending to pick up the scattered tomatoes. "Or Obina don't fall in love, oh eh?" The girl looked up, startled. "You don't have to do this, sir," she said softly. "Why not? Even a prince has hands," he replied with a gentle smile. Her eyes widened. "You're the prince." "I'm Obina." "And you are?" "Amora," she whispered. From that day, Obina found reasons to pass through the market. He lingered, talked, and sometimes walked with her pathway home. Yet everywhere they went, whispers followed. "Why is the prince talking to her?" they muttered. "She's nobody. She doesn't belong here." Amora's life had never been easy, but when news spread that the prince had noticed her, the humiliation became unbearable. Her family lived in a small, crumbling hut at the edge of the village. Her father worked long hours under the sun, trying to provide even a modest living. Her mother's hands were raw from washing clothes in the river. Hunger was constant, and ridicule never far behind. The villagers began mocking them openly. Children threw stones, shouting insults. Adults whispered cruelly as Amora passed, shaking their heads in derision. Neighbors avoided the family, afraid of being tainted by association. Even the royal family showed open contempt. Noble women visited their tiny home and laughed at the bare walls. "How dare your daughter dream of speaking to a prince?" one sneered. "You are unworthy. She will never enter the palace." Some left behind sneering notes or tossed coins at the children as if to mock their poverty. Amora's father bowed his head, silent, wishing he could protect his children from the cruel words, but there was nothing he could do. Her mother cried quietly in the corner while Amora held herself together, gripping her younger siblings and whispering, "We will survive, we must." Despite the suffering, Amora carried herself with quiet dignity. She never returned cruelty with anger. She never begged, she never cried out in shame. She moved with strength and humility, her courage quietly shining in every small act. And Obina saw it all. He saw her kindness, her resilience, her heart. He knew she was the one. One afternoon, Amora confronted him. "You shouldn't keep coming. People are talking." "I don't want to bring trouble to you," she said softly. Obina took both her hands in his. "Do you think I care what they say? You're the only one who sees me as a man, not a crown," he said, his voice firm yet tender. The king reminded him of duty and tradition, but Obina refused the bride selection ceremony. Instead, he went to the market, stood before everyone, and called her name. The crowd fell silent as he took her hand. "I have chosen my bride," he declared. "And it is her." Gasps filled the air. Some cheered, others turned away in shock. But Obina did not waver. He led her to the palace gates, and there was no turning back. On the day of their wedding, villagers gathered outside the palace. Amora walked beside Obinna, radiant in a simple but beautiful gown. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she held his hand. Every step felt surreal, every gaze from the villagers a mixture of awe and regret. Under the grand arches, Obinna looked into her eyes. "From today, you are my queen," he said. Amora smiled, her voice steady despite the emotion in her chest. "And I will always stand by you," she whispered. Even as queen, Amora never forgot the hunger, the shame, or the scorn of her past. She walked among her people with humility and grace, helping those in need. The same villagers who once mocked her now bowed their heads in respect. One quiet night, under a sky full of stars, Obinna took her hand. "Do you know why I love you?" he asked. "Tell me," she whispered. "Because you never saw me as a prince, only as a man," he said softly. Amora leaned into him, her crown glinting under the moonlight. "And I will keep seeing you that way, forever," she replied. The bells of the palace rang across the kingdom, carrying their story far and wide, a story of love that defied expectation, of courage and endurance, and of a simple girl who became the most cherished queen, loved not for her birth, but for the strength and heart she carried all along. Please help us subscribe to hit 1,000 subscribers.